Welcome back to the channel. Today taking a look at a game we've not taken a look at yet, and I have not played before, so this will be my first attempt at playing this game. The game is called Dungeon, or at least I'm guessing that's how you pronounce that. It's called DNGN, so missing all the vowels there from the word dungeon, but I don't know how else to pronounce that. It is a game by Barny Skinner, I believe, and this is a print and play game, as you are probably able to see. It looks very interesting, was recommended to me by a viewer in the comments, whose name I hope I'm not butchering, Mike Stegaro. Hope I said that at least approximately correct, and yeah, looks very cool. Today we'll be taking a look at it. Now the game has a lot of rules, or a moderate amount of rules and a lot of symbols, as you might be able to see on all of these cards. So that probably means I'll be referring back to the rules a lot and so on. But I've already roughly set up what I can. The game is played in campaigns, which consist of missions. I don't know how long anything takes, if we will be able to do the first mission in this video, or we'll have to split that up. I'm pretty sure we won't be able to do the entire campaign. But so the campaign from the core game is called The World Rune, which has a little illustration here as well, this symbol, and the first mission, The Cold Hillside. Icy winds blow through the trees on the dark hillside. A howl pierces the silence. The house mage's transit rune was intended to take you to your lord's tower. Clearly it hasn't. At the base of the hill is a slight glimmer, the fires of a village. You set off, seeking a path through the dense woods. So not really dungeoning yet. Outside exploration. Now there's a few infos here. So the size tells us how many rooms this dungeon deck, which I've got in the background here, contains, and how to shuffle and set that up, which I've already done. Our goal is to reach the star, which is inside the dungeon deck, and this essentially means the top two cards are definitely not our objective. Those are random dungeon cards. And then the bottom three cards are two random ones and the objective, which have been shuffled. So it could be the third, fourth, or fifth card. And our timer is set at 7, which I've done in the background. And then this mission card also tells us what each symbol that we encounter on the map is. So circle and square will be traps, triangles will be wolves, and pentagons will be bears. And the star does not have any special meaning except that it's our objective. So we've already set that up. Next thing you gotta do is choose 3 skills, which I've done sort of arbitrarily here. And also we are allowed to make 1 upgrade to our character. What all of this means will become apparent in a bit, I hope. As I said, I have not completely understood everything yet either, I believe. And I was just thinking I would upgrade one of our skills here, which is turning it over. Other thing we could do is gain extra cubes, or I'm using these little plastic crystals again, which are basically spent to do actions. So that's like the green ones are stamina cubes, the purple ones are mana, and the red one is a focus cube. I keep saying cube because the game calls them that, but yeah, points, whatever. And you spend those and assign those to actions. So this left action here, which looks like a snowflake, but is actually arrows into 6 directions, means moving on the map. And if we assign stamina there, we can then use those actions to move on the map. And similarly, we can use stamina here on this lightning bolt, which would allow us to charge up mana, which would move mana from this mana pool to a pool of available cubes here. So the left ones are the ones we have available. The middle ones are sort of mana and focus that are on hold, which we first have to charge up. And the very right one are exhausted ones, which are not available for a turn, I believe. So if we would do this left move action to move 3 spaces and then also push an enemy, which this little arrow indicates, we'd have to assign 3 stamina cubes. These 2 would return to the pool. The one on the very right would return to the exhausted pool and not be available for a turn. But we'll get into that a bit, and this action, this lightning bolt, allows us to charge up mana to make it available. And also this little exchange arrow means we can swap out equipment between our backpack and our equipped items. The hearts are healing, and these, I think it's hard to tell because we're so far zoomed out, but it's essentially like an arrow hitting or like a piercing javelin sort of icon. That's just an attack. So if we assign stamina cubes there, we attack. And for the first one, for the first point of damage, we just need a stamina cube. And that returns to our action pool. For the second one, we need stamina as well. Or we can actually use anything, I believe. But that would get exhausted. And the third one, this magic symbol, this heptagon, I think it is, would need mana or focus. So to be able to use that, we'd first have to charge up mana in an earlier round and then be able to use that from the action pool. I hope that will become more apparent while we play. That's the rough understanding I have after reading through the rules. This at the top is our health. At 12 right now, I'm using this metal ring to track it just so we're able to read the number through there. This timer is what the mission card said. We had to set to 7, so I did that. I don't quite know how that works yet. And you can play this with up to 2 players, in which case there's a tracker for player A and B for gold. We start with 20 gold. So I'm just saying these golden yellow ones are 10 gold each. So we are 20, and I'll probably put in like silver ones or some other color for single gold coins, or like this, that would be 23 gold. I hope that's a bit easier then. Have to see. Okay, this is a lot of talking about the game, but it's new for me as well. So to get started here, we've just done our upgrade. We've decided to upgrade that skill because why not? We could have also increased our amount of stamina or mana cubes, but I thought that was boring. Let's upgrade the skill. I have no idea what's good and what's bad, so yeah. And now we can also buy equipment from the equipment deck here using our starting money of 20. So I've already taken out, so the equipment deck is quite big, quite a lot of equipment here, but I've already looked through there and I took out all the ones that we can even afford. So we could buy a whip, a knife, a sword, leather armor. For the top right here is the price, so 20 would just be enough to buy leather armor. A maul, which is only 10, leather boots, so we could even buy 2 items there. No, we could buy a knife and some boots. And these items work like the skills as well, so you assign cubes to unlock these from left to right. So for 1 stamina we can move 1, for 2 we can move 1 and don't gain any extra benefit, but for 3 we can then move 2. That X seems very interesting because it can make sort of a spinning attack and make enemies bleed and so on. And the iron boots are movement and armor, which seems good as well. The wand is a magical attack, which might be cool because we have upgraded our mana skill here. And the shield is defense and the bow is ranged attacks. This little symbol in the top is the range. Yeah, I'm not too sure. Maybe the axe and some leather boots, why not? Let's do that. So I put those down here as well. And those will be used using the same cubes. And none of those really need mana, so I'm not too sure if our upgrade here was that smart after all. You know what? Now that I've decided on the equipment, I'll instead upgrade our first or our second skill here. Yeah, let's do that one. That way we can attack a bit more without exhausting any cubes. Yeah, and now we can start. We've bought our starting equipment. I get rid of our gold there. And we have created the dungeon deck already. I hope there's enough space on my table here. I'm as zoomed out as my setup allows me to. And we just turn over the first card and look here. We place our adventurer near one entrance. Place this to the very right. And also the equipment back on the deck here. And then we populate this using the symbols that the mission gives us. So there's a circle, a square, and a triangle. So that will be 2 traps and a wolf, like this. The traps just get these white numbers, and once we walk on those, which we don't want to, but I think we can push enemies into those as well using our push actions, we'll just activate them and take 1 damage. And the wolf gets a triangle, which is numbered. In this case, I've randomly grabbed number 16. And then the corresponding tracker, number 16, is on the HP up here, because each wolf has 4 HP. And there's bestiary cards, and I've already picked out the wolf and the bear for this mission, because those are the enemies that this mission uses. And we'll place those somewhere, maybe down here as well for now. And what all of those numbers mean we'll get to in a bit. So turn starts with the bleeding phase, which no one's bleeding at the moment, but if an adventurer, which would be us, or a monster, was bleeding, they would take damage now. Then the assignment phase, which I already did off camera just now. So I assigned our stamina to the slots I want to use from our items and our skills. Or sorry, from the stamina from the action pool to our items and our skills. I will be trying to move 2 spaces to get close to the wolf, attack it twice using this, and then do that X and spinny attack move, and probably not be able to kill it because it has 4 HP, I'm guessing. And then charge up 1 mana just for future use. And I've not moved any to them to actions that would have them get exhausted. Though we could exhaust 1 to make the wolf bleed, which might have it die next turn then. Actually, that's interesting now that I say it. Why not? Let's try to use all of our available action cubes. Yeah, just to have fun here. Okay, and so now those are assigned, and mana and focus cubes can't be assigned at the moment because we've not charged any of them up. Remember, we'd have to move them to this pool first. So now comes the behavior phase, where we draw a behavior for each monster that is, or type of monster that is alive. That's why there's so many numbers here. We draw a behavior from the deck for the wolf and look which row it corresponds to here. So there are different behaviors, and some are more defensive and the monsters don't attack. Some are very offensive and the monster attacks for a lot of damage. Some have different bonus effects here, like bleed and so on. And in this case, we've drawn this double circle, which means the wolf will move 4, it will not defend. It has a range of 1 with its attacks, because there are attack ranges in this game, and it attacks for 1 damage. And then it's got that special symbol there, which I think means it will push us or try to push us. Yeah, the monster will push its target into a trap, if possible. Otherwise, the players may choose the direction they are pushed, as long as it moves us further away from them. Okay, so for now, we have set up our actions. We know what the monster is going to do roughly. So now our adventurer actions start. So first of all, we would move all of our exhausted cubes back to the action pool, which we don't have now. During this phase, we now can take our actions in any order. we remove cubes from the action slots and then perform the actions. Those effects, the symbols are explained in the rules, but so for now let's remove this one and this one to move 2 spaces, I guess to here. Then let's remove this one to charge up 1 mana into action pool, so we have it available. Okay, now let's attack. Removing these 2 will do 2 damage to the wolf. And then we can attack once more using the spinning attack from the axe, which is called Frenzy. That performs an attack action against all enemies that are adjacent to the adventurer. And in this case, it's just the wolf, so that will just be like another attack. And then the wound, we add 1 bleeding token to the wolf, which are these little droplets here, and I don't know where we add those, I guess on the map. Since we only have 1 wolf, I'll just put that here. And that will be our actions, and actually the one from the bleeding action here will be exhausted. So that is all of our actions. The monster action phase starts, so we perform the behaviors on the monster card. Yeah, so first of all it will move 4, which I think because it's already adjacent to us it won't. Because it says here monsters will take the shortest possible route and they will try to get to the distance that is their range. So because this has a range of 1, it will try to get up close to us. But if this was a monster with a higher range, it would try to stay at range, I believe. But I'm pretty sure in this case it just won't move. Yeah, it doesn't have any defense and it will now attack us for 1, so I guess we just take 1 damage. And then it's got that special effect here, the double push, which means it will, if possible, put us into a trap. Otherwise, we may choose the direction we're pushed as long as it moves us further away. So I guess we'll be pushed back into the corner here. Can it push us to the side? Because there's a push and a pull action. So I'm guessing it would try to push us over into the trap, doing 1 more damage to us. Yeah, I'm not sure. We'll deal it like that, we'll rule it like that. And that'll be the monster actions, the wolf's actions. Okay, now the exploration phase would follow, but that's only if no more monsters are on the card, I believe. So now timer phase, we reduce our timer by 1. And if that hits 0, we permanently use 1 stamina cube and it gets reset to the time that it started at, so 7 for this mission. So yeah, that is essentially a bit of time pressure. So now we start from the top with the bleeding phase. Everyone loses 1 health per bleeding token, which means that wolf will die. And that gives us 1 gold apparently. I think the whole game never goes sort of out of initiative. Movement or combat are sort of the same. This seems that way to me. Yeah, so let's move. We'll have to move 4 to get to that exit. I think we can without exhausting cubes here, because we probably want to get to that exit as fast as possible. Now I wanted to try and heal here, but for that we need 3 cubes, one of which is mana. So I guess we'll just instead charge up 1 more mana to have it. So now behavior phase not necessary. Adventurer action phase will use our 4 moves here, returning them to the pool, and we'll charge up 1 more mana. And then also our exhausted pool is returned to our... we should have done that beforehand, but it didn't matter because we didn't exhaust any cubes this turn. No monster actions, no exploration. If we're standing on a hex with a doorway, we deal the top card of the dungeon deck and place it here. Okay, I guess like that. It's gonna get tight up there, space-wise. We can choose how to add that and then we populate it with monsters. So I've just done that, populated the trap and those 2 wolves. We are able to move through the doorway, and also monsters can also move through the doorway freely. So this is not like now you're in one room, now you're in the second room. This is a continuous terrain that we are exploring. In this case, I guess a snowy hillside, right? The icy cold hillside. Then we deal a loot card next to the face down dungeon card here. It says here if an adventurer is not standing on a doorway during the exploration phase and there are no monsters on the dungeon card, we can optionally choose to turn over the loot card. In this case, there's no loot card for the starting card, I believe. At least didn't say anywhere, so this was no option. But for now, we can just probably start a new round. So we reduce the timer, no bleeding. Let's start assigning actions. We'll probably try and move closer to that wolf to hit it. Can we get there? That's quite far actually. 4. That would require 5 stamina here just for the movement. And then we've got 2 left. Yeah, I guess we can do some... Oh, actually, I think we might be able to do some big damage here. Using 2 stamina cubes and 1 mana cube. Should be able to do 4 damage. Because our card down here does 1 for the first and 1 for the second stamina cube, and then 2 if we use another mana cube there. So let's do that like that. We draw the behavior. So all wolves share that behavior. They move by 3, they have no defense, they have 1 range and attack for 1, and then they make us bleed as well. Now we move all of our stamina cubes from the exhausted pool back, which we don't have. Let's do our movement here. 1, 2, 3, 4, like that. Do 4 damage. It will kill that wolf. It was wolf number 16 again. And we will gain 1 more gold. And those will be returned to the action pool, and that will be returned to the mana pool. So we have to charge that up again if we want to use that again. So now the monster action phase, it only has 3 movements, so it can't get close enough to us for its 1 range. So I guess let's have it just 1 to, and it won't move onto the trap if it can avoid it. Now we can see about dealing with that. Exploration, nothing at the moment because we're still fighting. Move down the timer by 1, and let's get back to assigning here. So we just get a move by 1 and do 4 damage ideally, or 3 damage and bleed. Depending on if we want to exhaust a cube or not. So we'll definitely be doing these 2. Do we want to use our mana here to do 1 more damage? Probably, just to get rid of the wolf immediately, and we can just charge 1 up again anyways. And afterwards, let's just use our remaining 3 here for 2 more movement. Why not? Because the order is up to us. And actually that behavior is discarded, so now we draw a new one. That changes every time, I believe. And now we do our actions. So let's move up by 1. Do those 4 damage. Killing the wolf. Will gain us 1 more gold. And we'll charge up the mana again. 1 of them. And then we have 2 more movement left. So let's just wait, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, let's take the shorter way. Move 2 spaces towards the exit. And now, during the exploration phase, if we're not standing on a doorway and there are no monsters, we may optionally choose to look at the loot card and resolve that, which I think we will, because it's loot, right? Summoning. Ooh. Okay, so that means, because loot is not just loot, there can be events and so on and traps. That means we will summon a new dungeon element, a square in this case, which for us is a trap. Place a token matching the new dungeon element in an empty hex of your choice adjacent to the adventurer with the least health remaining. So a trap will pop up next to us, but because it's of our choice, we'll put it here, of course, not in our way. Otherwise, we'd have to walk around. And that's gonna be that. I think we should have probably used a not filled in one there, a white one. And now that's the end of the turn, so timer goes down by one more. And we're back to assigning actions, and so we're just moving now. So I guess we need 3 movement. We can just do that with 3 cubes. And I guess we'll just charge this up further. Could even heal a bit. Put in 1 more action cube and the 1 mana. Why not? I mean, we still have quite a bit of health left, but I just want to start using these skills. So behavior phase, we can skip that because there are no monsters. Our action phase, let's use our 3 movement here to the exit. And we charge up 1 more mana. We get to swap equipment with our backpack. We don't have anything in the backpack, but essentially the equipment has categories here, like one-handed and two-handed weapons, footwear, armor, and jewelry, and so on. You can only equip a certain number of each type. Couldn't equip a second pair of boots, but we could store it in the backpack and switch them using this action. So we charged that up, we didn't switch anything, and we heal by 1. At least that's what I think that symbol means. Yeah, regain 1 health point or remove all bleeding tokens. Like that. And now exploration phase, we're standing on another exit here. So we'll have to continue the dungeon and I'll have to move things around. Maybe like this. Yeah, so this is annoying to film because you don't know where it's gonna sprawl. Let's turn over the next card. Okay, not our objective yet, but it fits nicely down here. I'll populate that. Okay, sorry for the abrupt end here, but I've decided to cut this recording into 2 just because at the time I didn't know how much longer the mission would go on for. And I just recorded it in 1 go, but it went on for another bit. But I can tell you I'm having fun with the game so far, and there's more to come, especially after a few rounds when we got sort of used to the whole flowchart of the game. The turns go much quicker, and I'm really liking it so far. So stay tuned. I'll see you next time. Till then, have a nice day. Bye bye.